What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome back to the OHIO podcast. I am your host tonight, the Wild Man, Chris Wilds. It is Tuesday night, and while the Podfather's away, well, the kiddies are going to play. It's time to pull up a chair, crack open an ice-cold bottle of Wolverine Tears, and hey, let's dive into everything going on in Columbus right now. And you already know, guys, I'm not going to do this alone tonight. I am joined by the one and only the marvelous Mika. Mika, how are things going tonight?
Good, how are you guys?
Well, I'm just Peach Keen Jelly Bean. Also joining me tonight, directly to my left on the screen, would be King Buckeye himself, Mr. Alex Bryan. Alex, what's up? Alex, we don't have any voice with you, buddy. You're muted. Okay, well, we're going to shoot over to the Schrock star, Sean Schrock. Sean, how is it going tonight, man?
What up? What up? What up? What up, Buckeye Nation?
So what is happening, guys? In the chat, we are joined by the Boomin' Buckeyes podcast. Welcome in, guys. Also joining us tonight, we got Mean Green. We got Mr. Tyler in the chat with us as well. And hey, it says there's at least 9 others of you in there, so I expect you to at least come on and say hi. Yeah, we got you, Alex. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's going. Columbus Aviators home opener this Friday. I'll be there if anybody else is going.
Well, you know what? We might have to tap into you live then because I'm filling in for Eric on the Aviators podcast this Friday. It's going to be myself and Mr. DK. We'll see if we can keep that on the rails and potentially on the air for another week.
I will be honest. I'm a DC Defenders fan. Have been since 2020 when Cardell Jones was their starting quarterback. So I will be an opposing fan, but I've already made it to where I will root for the Columbus Aviators every other game besides when they play DC. So
fair enough. All right, guys. So we got a couple of hot topics we're going to talk about tonight. The first one's going to be Ryan Day. He came to the podium for the start of spring camp, week number 3. We're going to go around here shortly. We're going to find out what stood out about his press conference, what should stand out, and are there any hidden messages in what Ryan Day has to say? Because you guys know he is really good at saying a lot without saying anything at all.
Yeah.
And then after that, we are going to talk about yet another black stripe alert, maybe one that's a little bit more surprising than a lot of people thought. All right, guys, we want to hear from you all night long. We want to see your comments in the chat. What did you guys take away from Ryan Day's press conference and how you feel about the newest black stripe that's been removed? All right, the table is set. The panel is ready. Let's get this thing rolling, guys. All right, so Ryan Day came to the podium today, like I said. Did everybody get a chance to listen to that, I'm assuming?
I did not get a chance to.
That is okay. Because we're going to tell you all about it, Sean. Some of the things that he talked about today, and I'm just going to highlight these a little bit. We had a nice adapt or die with a wonderful little dinosaur analogy thrown in there. We had some different things about possibly an identity crisis on this team. And then, maybe my favorite thinly veiled question was the very first one of the press conference, guys. Were they trying to get Ryan Day to say that Julian Sand is going to run this year by bringing up Ryan Day's own college career stats? The fact that he rushed for over 3,000 yards a season as a quarterback himself.
Wow.
So, Alex, I'm going to bounce it over to you first. What did you take away from today's press conference?
I mean, obviously, like you just mentioned, Julian Sayin was a topic again about his running abilities or lack thereof. And Day basically just rinsed and repeated what he said before, how it's going to be the X factor this year. All that good stuff, all that good coach speak. We can hope and pray it's going to be the X factor, right? But we won't know until game 1, game 2, especially game 2 being at Texas, how much of an X factor it's going to be. Now, obviously, we've all sat here and said we don't want him to be used like JT Barrett. That would be no good for anybody, right? But it's obviously you look at the film from last year, you see where the opportunities were there to run the ball, to get the first down, especially in that Indiana game. And it's going to have to be a growing up period for Julian Sain, and that to recognize where he's at with the ball, where the play's at progression wise, and if it's not there and he can take off for the first down, just do it. Um, Teaching him slide, all that good stuff. Obviously, he's not going to be like Terrell Pryor or Cardell Jones and run into somebody and bulldoze him over. So, it, you know, the obvious answer out of Ryan Day. I did like his comparison, the dinosaur thing. I thought that was funny, and he's totally right. Um, we're gonna have to adapt as this game keeps changing, or we will die. And that's something I've said for years now. And you've seen other coaches who haven't adapted, like a Dabo Swinney, and you see what's happened to him because of not adapting like he should. So, if that ever happens at Ohio State, you think it's bad for Clemson fans right now and bad for Dabo with the heat that's on him. Multiply that by about 10 million, and that's what it'll be for Ryan Day if this thing ever quote unquote dies because he refused to adapt to certain things. So, it's the answer you want to hear. But obviously, if you're like me, you're back in a wait and see period when it comes to Ryan Day. Believe it when you see it type of deal. So I'll be interested to see if how much we've adapted in certain ways and how much, especially in Julian Satan's case, how much he's adapted and grown this offseason. But um, all the other little tidbits he talked about, like the Earl Little Juniors of the world and all that stuff, love to hear it. Sounds like a lot of good, positive things. Some guys who transferred in are making good headway. Some freshmen are making good headway. So that's definitely what you want to see. And of course, in a few weeks here, we'll see it on the grand stage in God's Palace, the Shoe in Columbus. So.
All right.
I tell you what, the one thing I do like about Ryan Day, if something isn't working, he tends to make changes, especially with the coaching staff. So I'm hoping that he does let Julian run, but I hope it's not running options like we've talked about, Alex. I mean, I hope it's if he can get a cheap first down, go ahead and do it. I just think he's been coached so much through his high school tape, and to throw the ball away or to look downfield, and he's not used to running. I mean, running with the ball with a quarterback. Sometimes it's a mentality, and Julian's a just a pocket passer. So hopefully he's got that in his head now that go pick up the first down, don't take any unnecessary shots, don't run any options with them, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Mika, your thoughts on the press conference today?
I liked everything I heard. I have my own little saying. You guys have heard me say it on here. If you don't adapt, you go the way of the dodo. Lion Day just picked a different extinct species. But I liked everything I heard. I like that he's addressing the fact that Julian needs to run. He's done it multiple times publicly. Hopefully that's a good sign, and he really is planning on letting him run. And Julian can do it. He did it in high school. He can take the easy yards that are given to him. I think people forget that he did it a lot while he was in high school. Now he wasn't a true dual threat guy, but like he can take the yards when they're presented to him, and it sounds like that's going to be a point of emphasis this season. And I think the offensive line with Arthur's is going to really help that, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll tell you, something else I found interesting was, we talk about how this is becoming NFL like, and this is going to tie into our past topic here just a little bit as well. But Ryan Day addressed the fact that we've got 51 new players on the roster this spring. 51. That is nearly half of your roster. And he talked about the fact that this feels more like a what do you call it? Training camp versus spring practice.
Yeah.
Where in the past it's been more about refining technique and skills, and now it's more about getting the fit, getting them to buy into the culture, molding them into a cohesive unit. Um, Very much kind of, I think, an NFL philosophy in a sense. Um, so that brings us, when you tie in the NIL and the adapt or die comment, you tie in his take on the that it feels more like a NFL training camp. Do we think that Ryan Day has adapted to the new college football environment? Is Ohio State evolving fast enough to stay really truly elite, given the new NIL and transfer realities? And how does he compare to coaches such as Kurt Signetti, Kalen DeBoer, Kirby Smart, and such in this? Alex.
I don't think he totally has yet, and I think that's proof of Kurt Signetti going 16-0 last year and doing seemingly everything perfect, like it should be in this era, right? Kurt Signetti has a talent evaluation that's clearly top tier. Got all these key players. Obviously, brought a lot of them from James Madison, but he still down to James Madison picked out those players and evaled them pretty well. Did a great job evaling Fernando Mendoza and other guys like that. Brought them in, improved them significantly, and you saw what you saw. It starts there, and obviously Ryan Day has good talent eval himself, but with the portal class that we brought into last year's season, clearly there's some misses there, right? So we have to wonder now, from now on, okay, these transfers we're bringing in, are they up to par? Are they up to snuff? And the only way we're going to find out is if they do something on the field or not, right? So that's one thing I think he still needs to adapt at. Obviously, great recruiting. Can't get much better than what we're doing there. Um, and when it comes to just adapting to in-game type of things, obviously the mistakes are still there, still making the same mistakes as he has in the past. So there are areas to still grow for Ryan Day. Obviously, he's not as seasoned of a veteran as Kurt Signetti is. Kurt Signetti's been around a long time. Ryan Day is going into what, his ninth year, something like that. So there's still a lot of room to grow for Ryan Day, but he's in a good enough position to where he can grow and learn from these things, can become a better talent evaluator, all that good stuff to completely adapt to this college football world. And he's there. The blueprint's there now. Obviously, the blueprint's there. If you got a good enough donor, getting enough money in there, and if you could just talent eval well enough to bring in certain transfers, uh, you can win a national championship. And Ryan Day got some key ones going into 2024. And yeah, we lost a couple games we really shouldn't have lost. Let's be real, especially one of them. But it turned into a national championship because you had the talent eval to plug in the pieces that you needed to eventually go get that trophy. So just got to be more consistent with certain things, got to learn from past mistakes, and I think he can be right up there and hopefully, please God, get us a 16-0 season because there are a lot of people I got to bark at.
Sean.
See, I think we'll find out this year if he's truly adapted because I think this is the first year where he's really had to because this is the first year where we had a bunch of people leave. I mean, we lost key players that were going to, receive quality playing time. So, I mean, he kind of had to go to the portal more than just, plucking a guy here or a guy there. I mean, we kind of had to replenish some guys because we lost more than we've ever had before. So, especially the quality of the guys that we lost with the quantity. So, I think for the most part, he's done a great job recruiting out of the portal. But last year he did have some key misses. So maybe there's one or two position groups that they may need to refine. Like you say, Alex, do better evaluating some talent. So hopefully, some of these new coaches that they brought in can do that. So if not, then they're gonna have to find some people. But we'll find out at the end of the year if he's totally adapted or not.
Uh, yeah, I think this is definitely the show me you. And a part of that is the fact that you have Signetti in the conference doing what he did. So he has he has competition now. He's got a national title within his own conference that doesn't have an asterisk attached to it. So he's got the comparison now to live up to, and this is definitely a show me year for him. And to Sean's point, he has had to replace a lot of the roster, and I'm encouraged by what I've heard and what I've seen. The transfer guys get their black stripes removed early and everything. Sounds like they're embracing the culture, and that's a good thing.
Mika, I want you to keep that in mind because we're going to talk about that again in the after show. But, you know, Day himself admitted the 2026 Buckeyes don't have a defined personality yet. Like we said, 51 new faces, a largely rebuilt locker room. What is this team's identity going to be? Is this an identity that should be built around Jeremiah Smith? Is it an identity that should be built around a running game? Is it an identity that should be built around our defense? And how long can a team without a clear identity remain a true contender, especially at Ohio State's level?
I mean, obviously, our identity should be running 4 to 5 tight end sets, no matter what, right? We should definitely do that because that worked out very, very well when we did that. No, I mean, look, I don't expect this team to have an identity in spring. I think anybody could agree that they're not going to have an identity yet. But there's a pretty obvious identity that they should have, that they should have learned from in those last 2 games last year. Feed four. I'll repeat, feed four. This isn't rocket science, okay? I just saw on the news we're going to send another rocket to the moon. It's not even as hard as that. It's like simple, like you take a step, you walk for the first time in a day. That's how simple it is, right? So like this isn't difficult. Feed four. This is the last year you got them. Feed the ever living hell out of them, and the rest will fall in the place. We saw this guy catch a ball over 5 people to end the Big Ten title game. Like he can do it, so just do it. We can't live scared to get him the ball, even if he's double covered. He'll find a way to catch it. He's that guy. So I think that's where it starts. I think Arthur Smith, from what I've heard him say, kind of sounds like he gets it. So we'll see if he gets it if we start seeing 4 to 5 tight end sets and red zone packages again that go for nothing because we don't have the tight ends to do all that. So I I hope and pray because again, this isn't a schedule you can mess around with. It better not take this team long to find an identity. I don't expect them to have it by game 2 at Texas. Just get out of there with a win. That's all you have to do. It doesn't matter if you have an identity yet or not. But you better figure it out quick because by mid-season they got to have an identity and they got to have it firm, or else, as I said it before, you might see the first more than 2 loss season in Columbus since 2011, and then the couches and buildings are really going to burn.
So, Sean, is it as simple as feeding number 4? Is it as simple as playing a zone defense and having your defensive backs 10 yards off the ball? Because I know how much you love that. What should this team's identity be, Sean?
I think it. I mean, honestly, it's going to be a wait and see because you got to, Alex brings up a good point. Who's our best player? Jeremiah Smith. I mean, honestly, get him the ball. But we don't know what Arthur Smith's going to do. I mean, he's new to the system. I mean, new system. So it's going to be interesting to see how much he runs the ball, what kind of balance he has running and passing the ball. I mean, we've seen it where we've been a pass-happy offense, and we've seen it where we've tried to balance it. So I think you got to go with what your talent dictates. So, I mean, with the defense, if our defense is really great like last year, then you lean on your defense and, you complement it with the offense. But if the offense is high-powered, then it's going to be you go around that then. So you just, after training camp's over, then you see what, I think it's going to kind of, evolve into, you'll see it evolve into either a running team and a passing team or, a balanced team or a defensive team.
Mika.
I agree with Sean to a point, but Jeremiah Smith does need to be a point of emphasis because we have a generational generational wide receiver. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. There's not a word for Jeremiah Smith in the dictionary that represents how and what he can do and how important he is, and I don't want to see his last year here wasted.
Because
Yeah,
we've
I
already
kind
wasted
of
one.
agree, but go ahead, Alex.
We've already wasted one.
I
That
mean,
should have been a layup, Natty. Honestly,
what are
imagine
we gonna,
imagine we just beat Indiana. We're the number one overall seed. We get that cake path. We beat the crap out of Bama. We beat the crap out of Oregon, and we go to the Natty. And we probably play Indiana again. And Lord knows we were right there to score like twice on them and did stupid tight end crap.
I can't
So
kick.
yeah, and can't kick. But he can kick at pro day. He can kick at pro day. He can nail a 57-yard at pro day. But he can't
If the
kick.
pressure's not on him, then
Yeah, when it's time. He can't
yeah.
kick when it's time. I don't even know why they let him bother wasting anybody's time. Nobody's going to draft him. The UFL will look at him and be like, we saw your tape. No thanks. He should just learn how to sell real estate, honestly, if we're being real. But anywho, um,
Tell us
but
how you really feel, Alex.
I will all day, Mika. You know this. Um, but at the end of the day, if we go 10-2 with this schedule, I'll be like, okay. As long as we beat the team up north too, I'll be like, all right, cool. We get in the playoff with that. With this schedule, I'm not expecting anything better than that. Better than that happens, awesome. Then Ryan Day really did it. Good. It gets me a little more hopeful for things in the future. But can't go below that.
See, Alex, as long as we're playing our best ball at the end of the year, you get an invite to the tournament, man. You're good. I mean, I want to be peaking towards like 2 years ago. We were playing our best ball at the end of the year. That's what we need to be doing, and go into the playoffs and just take it on another deep run, man. So I mean, if we don't go undefeated, I mean, this is a very tough schedule, and we have a lot of people to replace, and we got a new offensive coordinator. So I mean, I still expecting 10-2, 11-1, maybe 12, maybe even 12-0 if it falls right. But just give us a chance in the playoffs, and I think we can make a good run.
I will be insufferable if we go 16-0 with this schedule. I will be on a generational insufferable run with many people if we go 16-0 with this schedule.
So,
So
you
you
know,
average
you
day,
guys have,
right?
Huh?
So you average day, right?
No, this will be amped up. This will be very amped up.
I'm kidding. I
Yeah,
love you,
so
Alex.
so you guys have all danced around it a little bit. It's going to take 16, 17 games to win this thing. The last thing I want to talk about Ryan Day's press conference, and then we're going to move on to our next topic. He talked about the depth versus the impact player. Depth is his team's strength right now. But he came out and he posed the question himself. Who else is going to step up to be the impact players? I mean, we know Jeremiah Smith. We know number 4 is going to be an impact player. We feel like Julian Sand is probably an impact player. Who else is going to step up to be the impact players?
Well,
So that brings up kind of a question I'm going to get. I want everybody's opinion of one guy who's going to step up this year to be an impact player. But also, I want you to think about this. Would you rather have the depth advantage or rather have, say, 3 impact players on each side of the ball?
on each side of the ball, or just 3 total.
Let's say 3 on each side of the ball.
Mm.
Because if a school like Ohio State, that's not inconceivable.
What was my other option?
Have the Ohio State depth that we've got right now that Ryan Day talks about. Where very honestly, we are probably, our wide receiver room is very likely, especially given what we've seen with the black stripe removals, very likely at least 5 to 6 guys deep potentially. And we got a coach in Cortez Hankton who likes to rotate.
Thank God.
So,
Which I've been preaching for years.
Amen.
which would you rather have, the depth advantage or the greater star power? And who is your player that you're going to pick to click as an impact player this season?
I want the depth. I like having that, especially in the wide receiver room and a guy who's going to rotate them. Dave said there's depth across the board. That means every position, boom, boom, boom. That's what good because we know how injuries go at Ohio State. We had a scrounge to throw a quarterback in a couple days before the season started, and then at the end of the season, that quarterback broke his leg, and we had to throw another quarterback in. So we know how important that is. So yeah, I'd much rather have that because that lets me know, okay, we got guys who can come in if need be, especially on that offensive line. I hope there's a lot of depth there that we don't even know about yet. But I'd rather have that to know, okay, we're good if something catastrophic happens because not having good enough depth in the wide receiver room cost us a national championship in 2022. And the lack of rotating receivers once JSN went down in that Notre Dame game, boy, nobody talks about that enough. Everybody's just like, if it weren't for a kicker and if our defense didn't suck, yeah, I get it. Our defense wasn't the greatest that year. It was a lot better in 2021, but the real culprit was not having enough receivers ready to be a threat. Because if Marv went down and we had another receivers, Kirby has to still respect that and play the same defense he was, and we could still dice him. But Kirby said it himself. Once Marv went down, we were like, well, who else they got? Nobody. So we can switch everything up, and they won't do anything. And that's exactly what happened. So,
Well, let's face it, we didn't have any running backs left either that game. I mean, not only did we
yeah.
not have receivers, we had no running backs. I mean, Rossi and Xavier Johnson was our running backs that game. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean that was, and you know what? I still think that was probably one of Ryan Day's best coach games ever.
It was. Up
I mean, honestly.
until 3 to 5 minutes left to go. And then it
I'm-
became typical day.
Well, I mean, bonehead on the defense didn't help either.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So, Mika, your thought?
I would rather have the depth because even impact players get injured, and if you have depth, you don't have to worry about it as much.
Absolutely. I'm with you guys on this. Depth is huge. Depth is how you you survive. I can't believe all four of us actually agreed.
I know.
It
funny.
feels like
one.
it feels not good. All right, so we're gonna switch over a little bit here. We're gonna talk a little bit maybe about that depth, a little bit maybe about that future star power even. Brock Boyd sheds his black stripe, and guys, this isn't something of a feel good surprise. It's a straight up practice beats the rankings. It's that simple. Not saying Chris Henry Jr. isn't going to be a beast. Not saying that Guilford isn't going to be a beast. But here's a kid, 3 stars out of Texas, a guy who was overlooked by a lot of people coming into camp. But everything coming out of camp paints the picture of a freshman who showed up ready. Not somebody wanting to wait his turn. Here's a guy, Ryan Day has already highlighted it. Crisp route running, a very serious approach to the game, quick twitch athleticism, strong hands, and the versatility of the lineup all over the field. Guys, it wasn't something that was just given to him with that black stripe coming off. It was something he earned. And like I said, this ain't about the stars. It ain't about the hype. It's about ball. Because if you would watch the BCR rankings that we did over on our Patreon channel, Eric and I and Mika and Vader all very high on this guy. We all said he was drastically underrated.
Cody Croy said it too. He was on the show the other night.
Yeah.
He's been high on that guy for a long time.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a guy who walked in the door with real production. Mika and I were talking about this, and I think Sean was talking about this with us before we started. You know, Texas South Lake Carroll is a big-time program down in Texas. Big-time competition. How people slept on this kid is beyond me. But that's what it is. Ryan Day is basically telling you flat out the kid knows how to run routes. He's serious. He's polished as a freshman already coming in. You can line him up anywhere. Guys, this is a grown man receiver coming in as a freshman. So That's why the black stripe came off early. And the black stripe coming off early is usually a pretty good indication that there's a kid who's going to be seeing the field a little bit this year. Maybe it's on special teams, maybe it's in the rotation at receiver, but he's going to get a chance to see the field, I think, a little bit this year. So, guys, first I want you to tell me kind of, were you surprised that this was the first freshman to lose their black stripe? And if so, why? Alex?
Yes. Um, not that I didn't think he was good. Obviously, there's a lot of talent there, and like Richard said in the comments, when Hartline was recruiting him, route running was one of the biggest things that was brought up about the kid. And like I mentioned, Cody Croy, I've done some other shows with him where he was really digging into recruiting, bringing up Brock Boyd, the stats he was putting up every week at Quinn Ewers' alma mater down there in Texas. We all know and love Quinn Ewers well, don't we? But anyway, he put up monster numbers down there, and clearly the tape was very impressive. If Harline was still wide receiver coach, I don't know if he would see the field all that much here at Ohio State. I think he might transfer out. Other guys probably would get put ahead of him, stuff like that. But with Cortez, if he does truly rotate like we think he will, Brock Boyd's going to get opportunities to go out there and show his stuff. But I am surprised because Chris Henry Jr. exists, right? And I know Legend Bay is kind of bouncing around from running back to wide receiver, but he exists too.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've heard he's missed some practices, and that probably plays in the fact he hasn't gotten his removed yet. But I did say on the show, if he wasn't like the first guy to get his black stripe removed, I'd be very, very surprised by that. And we've had what, 3 now lose their black stripe? The guy from LSU,
There's three others.
Brock
Uh,
Boyd, and Earl Little.
And also the linebacker from Wisconsin,
Christian-
Allegro, lost it
He
today
did?
as well.
I didn't see that. Okay, so there's 4. Um,
3
so, yeah.
transfers and 1 freshman.
yeah, I'm with when Chris Henry Jr. exists and how well I heard he's been doing in practice, and Legend Bay exists, and we all know what we've heard about him. Pretty surprised by that, especially, but it just goes to show what kind of work ethic this kid has, and what. But I will say, since it is a wide receiver position, while I am like very impressed by the fact you lost your black stripe already, I need the Jeremiah Smith seal of approval. I need to hear what Jeremiah Smith says about the kid. If he says, "Oh yeah, this kid's legit," then I'll know. Then I'll know.
Oh, he
So.
did. Jeremiah Smith did give his seal of approval on Mr. Chris Henry Jr. Said
Yeah.
he's the next man up.
Yep. So
Was I a little surprised, Chris? Yes, I was. But I tell you what, man, the tape doesn't lie with this kid. You go watch him and how crisp he runs his routes. How athletic. I mean, he runs it like precision, man. I mean, he is so on it. Kind of reminds me of Wes Welker. He's strong, tough, quick in his routes, very athletic. I mean, he has great. He really, really hits his brakes really hard. And I tell you what, man, he can stop on a dime, and he's gonna leave a lot of people. Like Mika would say, he'll break some ankles running past patterns. He's strong. He's tough. He'll go over the middle. So I think the kid's got a real chance to play, and I'm excited about this receiver room because I think there's a couple other guys flying under the radar too that I think could make some plays for this team. So I mean, I know we lost Carnell and stuff, but I think this is going to be a fun year to watch some of these receivers.
Mika?
I love Brock Boyd. I'm so glad that he's getting the recognition he deserves now. I've said it over on Patreon, I don't know how many times, not to sleep on this kid. And hats off to South Lake Carroll for, having this guy be ready. And that is no joke of a high school program. Like, they produce Division I talent left and right, and Brock Boyd's just the latest example of it. And like Sean said, he can score from anywhere, and he excels in yards after the catch. And Cortez Hankton said it best. That's going to be a point of emphasis for our offense this season, and I think Brock Boyd's going to play a really big part in that.
he could be like a better Dane Sansenbacher for us. and that would be pretty solid because Dane Sandsbacher was pretty solid. So
Yeah, he
He had a
wasn't too
great
bad.
career. He had a great career, man. I
yeah,
mean,
or he could be a better Brian Hartline, and Brian Hartline was pretty good too. So we'll see.
So we had a question from Don McClure about the true freshman from Indiana. I believe she's probably talking about
Guilford.
Jaquan Guilford.
Yep.
Has looked good in spring ball. Actually, all of the freshmen have looked really good in spring ball, from what I'm told. So that is something to be excited about.
Like, yeah.
And it kind of brings me to my next question, and it's something that kind of goes a little bit back to what we talked about with the portal guys. Is Ohio State staff getting better at identifying these maybe underrated players when you look at somebody like Brock Boyd, who comes in and is just outperforming expectation right out of the gate?
Um, I would say in some areas, yeah. We got a lot of these under the radar offensive linemen out of Ohio, especially that I'm very interested in seeing how they develop over the course here. And we've talked about it before how we hope those guys, since they're from Ohio, they stick around for longer than a year or two and really buy into the development and that they're going to get their chance and stuff like that. I'm really interested to see how that goes because that's going to be a huge key for this program going forward. Getting those trenches right and keeping them right for the long haul. Um, but I think in a lot of areas they've learned from past mistakes. I mean, we remember that 2022 recruiting class where all the wide receivers on that class that we had, I think maybe like caught a total of 5 passes between them or something like that. It was ridiculous how bad that recruiting class was, especially with the wide receivers. So, um, you learn from past mistakes there as well, and you learn how to maybe talent eval better in the recruiting area of things. And I think that they've done a solid job of that since that little blunder of the 2022 class. Just got to keep it going because as much as the transfer portal seems to be ruling college football in key areas, recruiting's still going to be the lifeblood of it. So still got to get guys to build this program with and not just go transfer heavy all the time. We see how that works for Colorado over there. So
We're gonna have so much fun in the after show. You guys are just, you don't even know, but you're tap dancing all around our topic.
I
All
think
right,
I think what's key,
Sean.
not only is development, but keeping these kids here. I mean, recruiting's our lifeblood, but getting these kids to willing to stay the course and not after 2 years of coaching these kids up, getting them all ready to play, then they bail on us. I mean, there was like 3 or 4 kids that were getting ready to get significant playing time this year, and they jumped ship. So I mean, that's kind of a kick to the nads there, that you put all this time and effort into it. But one thing Ohio State has done, I mean, they have put more 3-star kids into the NFL than any other program in history in college football. So we've always had that great development and finding those 3-star kids. I mean, Santonio Holmes was a 3-star. Troy Smith was a 3-star.
Nick
I mean,
Mangold.
I think they, I think they turned out pretty well for us, don't you guys? I mean,
Absolutely.
they were okay.
they were okay. I mean,
All right,
so
a little bit.
I think we have a great tendency to find these diamonds in the rough, and like I mean, certain positions, these kids are going to get a chance to play faster than others. I mean, offensive line is one position where it takes longer. Usually you sit for 2 years before you get your playing time, unless you're like Orlando Pace or someone really special, or there's a lot of injuries, or we suck really bad. So I think so far though, I think we're doing a pretty good job finding these diamonds in the rough.
Mika, as kind of
Huh?
our recruiting expert, or at least one of them, what do you think? Are we getting better at finding this talent? Are we getting better at identifying the underrated players?
I think we are. And another great example of that is Corey Wilder. He was, when we offered, he was, I think, either a 3-star or a low 4-star. And he blew up late in the process because people finally saw what he could do and how he was growing into his body and just the versatility he brought to the position. And I think we're doing better at jumping on in-state talent early too. We're not slow playing these guys as much as we used to. We're offering them when we see that they have the potential to be contributors at Ohio State. We're not waiting, and I think that plays a big part in it as well. I hated when we would slow play guys that were obviously Ohio State caliber. It would drive me nuts.
I mean, guys, top five. I mean, the top 10 to 15 kids in Ohio should already have freaking offers to Ohio State. I mean, we should have those guys locked up. Then you go out and you try to grab a couple you know, blue chip people out of the state. But the best players in Ohio, they should be locked up by their sophomore year. Having offers and not like Mika says, slow playing these kids, thinking, oh, if we strike out on these kids out from Florida or California, we can always come back home and get this kid. He'll want to play because it's Ohio State. Well, some of these kids gave us the bird and went somewhere else because we didn't, show them the love right away.
And
So,
what aggravates me is when we would uh, get a commitment from like a Florida kid or something, and then they'd play games all throughout the process, and then leave us at the last minute, and
Drop the
then
bag.
then we try to circle back on these Ohio kids, and I don't blame them for saying
Yeah.
no. It's too late now.
Drew Aller was one of those.
Yeah, and also, there's been players in our past like Antoine Woodfield Jr. who absolutely by default should have
That
gotten off.
aggravated.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I literally last spring I got to
That
talk
was his
to
birthright.
I got to talk to
Luke Lachey,
Lorenzo
another one.
and Sonny Styles' mother, and I said I'm so glad Lorenzo decided to transfer here because it is his birthright to be here. I said him at Notre Dame, he could have had a great career, and if he wanted to choose his own path, fine. But he found his way here, and I'm happy for that because it's his birthright to be here. Every former Buckeyes kid should be able to wear the scarlet and gray, and that should be automatically on the table for them, whether they're a 0-star or a 5-star. They
You
should be
know,
come here.
sorry, Alex. I mean, I
Good.
do want to touch on a story that Krista said. The thing is, why Joe Royer got the invite over Luke Lachey is because at camp, Royer outplayed him at the camp at Ohio State, and I was told that by a couple different people. Still, I think Luke Lachey still should have gotten an offer, but
His dad is on the radio.
exactly. His dad's an All-American and a Super Bowl champion.
2 + 2 = 4. You offer the kid and let him choose between you and Iowa. And if he goes to Iowa, still, hey, he wants to carve his own path. Good for him, but give him the offer.
I mean, look, if Royer would have stayed, Royer ended up balling out at Cincinnati when he.
Yeah, and screw Royer. We
Well,
would have been there with Lachey.
he had some off the field stuff that happened, personal stuff, family stuff. So I
I
mean,
would rather have Lachey.
I would have too. I mean,
It's his
Yeah.
birth.
Absolutely. I can't disagree with you guys. You know, and I'm going to get back on a question here from Richard here in a minute, because before we close out, we're going to circle back around to that. But should Buckeye fans view this Brock Boyd thing as a sign that maybe recruiting rankings by the mainstream services have really got an
Duh.
issue?
Well, are you looking at On 3? Because theirs are always terrible.
I mean, just all you gotta do is just go by the past, Chris. I mean, Troy Smith, Santonio Holmes. I mean, look at some of these other guys that were like 5 stars that come in that didn't even play. I mean,
Ed Reed was a 2-star.
yeah. See, I mean,
J.J. Watt was a 2-star.
yeah, and he went to Central Michigan to start his career as a tight end. I mean, look what happened. I mean, there's always going to be the guy that people miss on that no one sees, and that's a cool story.
We
But-
gotta minimize it.
But
Exactly.
that's the thing. It's like you talk about the guy that people miss on, and it's going to happen occasionally.
Yeah.
But
Luke
it shouldn't
Kuechly.
be happening with 10 to 15 to 20 prospects every
Yeah.
year. And this is the biggest thing I wanted to get to with this. And then we're going to wrap it up with one last question about the black stripes. But is there a blatant bias against Ohio State and recruits that sign with Ohio State by these services?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number one example of that is Brady Edmonds.
Look
Go
at
ahead,
Chris
explain
Henry.
it, Mika, for those who don't know.
Because he committed early, he continues to drop because he's committed early and he doesn't generate the clicks that other prospects do because people know he's coming to Ohio State and he's not going anywhere.
I mean, Chris Henry was the number one player in his class. He was the number one receiver for how long? Then all of a sudden he just drops to the bottom. I mean, he dropped big time. I
But
mean, give me a break.
to
I
be
mean,
fair, he did have injuries and stuff, so.
Yeah, and if you look back, look how long it took them to make Jeremiah Smith the number one overall player
yeah,
in that class. When I wasn't he in the same class as Rayola, and they had Rayola as the number one player in that class for how long? And look at the trajectories of both careers. One's now going to be a backup for Oregon because he decided to leave his dad's alma mater for some reason. He would have been a starter this year still when he gets back from injury, of course. But like, and Jeremiah Smith's the greatest player in college football. So
well, that kid also went to 4 different high schools. I mean,
Yeah.
that just shows that
shocker, he didn't stay
Yeah.
at Nebraska.
Yeah, the kid
Shocker.
entered the portal full time for the threat 3 times in high school.
He
That's
won't play at Oregon next year, and then he'll transfer somewhere else, probably like UNLV. He'll take the Tate Martell route the rest of the way, and
that's a
Went
good
to like
question right there.
that's another one that school hopped like crazy. It's wild.
That's one kid that we actually interviewed last night. Me and Nate and EJ was Ryan, RJ Day. That kid, I give that kid so much credit because he's at DeSales and their numbers are way down, and he could hop to any other high school. With more people on the team. I mean, he could go D1. They're dropped down to D3 because they don't have that many kids in their school. So, I mean, he could have went to any school that he basically wanted and jumped, and he's staying at a school with his friends, and he's showing loyalty. He's not just hopping around.
Future
Yeah.
Purdue Boilermaker?
eh,
Mm.
DK would be happy.
You know what? I'm thinking he might. This might sound crazy, but I'm thinking maybe Virginia Tech. He had a
Is,
great.
is, it, is that an offer he's got on the table?
He just came from there. He said he had a great visit down there. He really likes
Hey, you
the
know what?
quarterback coach.
I hope he flourishes wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes, I am gonna have that kid's back, and I'm gonna support him. He's such a class act, such a great kid, man. I
Well,
can't
you
say enough
know,
about
And
that
if he
kid.
ends up being super elite and one of the best quarterbacks in college football, transfer to Ohio State.
Yep.
Here's the thing. He should feel comfortable if he goes to Virginia Tech. I mean, he and James Franklin are brothers. I mean, Ryan Day is both their daddy.
Good one, Grumpy
I was
Cat.
kind of hoping he would go to Bowling Green at first and
That
play
would be
for Eddie.
that would be fun.
But I think he's starting to really jump up the rankings, man. I mean, the first time that I interviewed him to the second time we just interviewed him, dude, he looked like he put on about 20 pounds of muscle, and he looked like he aged 2 years. I mean, he matured so much within a year, man. I told him, whatever you're doing in that training, man, keep doing it, man, because it's working for you, bro.
But if he goes to Virginia Tech, that's you watch out. 3 years from now, Virginia Tech will be in that college football playoff run in the ACC if the ACC is still alive by then.
Oh, and you look, there's a lot of great
good.
talent around that Maryland area
They're going to be so good.
Franklin's good at recruiting. I mean, he did pull some good recruits from Penn State, so I mean, he hasn't forgot how to recruit. So I mean,
And
Speaking of, oh, go ahead, Mika.
thank you, Vader. Love you too, buddy.
Speaking of some pretty good recruits, let's switch back over to the black stripe conversation because Richard has predicted either Sam Greer, Chris Henry, or Sincere Johnson is going to be the next one to lose their black stripe. We've got a few minutes left. I want each of you to give me your prediction for the next freshman to lose their black stripe.
Please, God, let it be sincere. Please, God. Because if it's him, then I know the hype is legit, and I know that he could probably get some playing time this year, maybe even take a role. Because that's the one position throughout this entire team, honestly, that I'm most concerned about. Outside of offensive line, I'm always concerned about that. But that God, the drop off at linebacker could be catastrophic. We don't know yet. I hope it's not. But if Sincere Johnson ends up being that dude and ends up being like Arvell Reese 2.0, and we can get more than 1 year out of him because he's a freshman,
I'm
yep,
I'm telling you, I know they're not experienced at that linebacker position, but I tell you what, they are so athletic, and they're not experienced, but I think they do have the talent to be great if they, I am very happy with the way Laurinaitis has brought the linebackers up.
I trust in him. That's
Look at
the
what he
thing
did
I'm
for
holding on to.
look what he did for Cody Simon.
Yeah,
Got him playing at an all league level. Then there's work with Arvell, Peyton Pierce. I think he's going to be a stud in the middle. He's that big time thumper, and
Hedda John.
Pettijohn and Alford are both very athletic, and both guys hit with tenacity and can cover from sideline to sideline. And Sincere Johnson could be the next Arvell. So I'm very excited about that group.
This year with the linebackers is really going to show me, okay, James Laurinaitis, you either got it or you don't. And I know in my soul he does. I know in my soul he does. But going from like Sonny and Arvell to what we
Yeah.
have, it's like, boy, if we can keep it even close to what it was, we're not going to be bad at linebacker for a long time.
Look
And
at the
that,
coaching
that
job he
excites
did with
me.
look at the coaching job he did with Sonny. Sonny had to learn a whole new position. I mean, it should have been, natural for him being,
Yeah,
the
that
son
big.
of a legend, but still, man, brand new position like that, and you
Yeah.
flourish, you know, Lauren,
Mika,
I mean,
That'll make
yeah,
that'll make it easier on Larry too, because if you have all these linebackers that are good, you can get more of them on the field and just have one rush the edge and all that good. Like there's so many things. Matt Patricia would be like salivating if that linebacker room is even close.
and the thing is, most of the young guys that you mentioned have played multiple linebacker spots in their career too, so that's a good thing as well.
Love
And
it.
you can tell that athleticism is James Laurinaitis' emphasis in the linebacker room. He's recruiting sheer athletes that can play linebacker. We got a kid that visited campus recently, AJ Randall, and he's very high on Ohio State, and I think he's going to be great. If,
Wait, which? Oh, go ahead. I thought you were done.
and he's just emphasizing athleticism in that room, and it really shows. And I think he sees a lot of himself in Peyton Pierce as well.
Yeah, and it just goes to show his adaptability, right? Because when he was a linebacker at Ohio State, he was in an era where the athleticism wasn't there at Ohio State at linebacker. You were just a big dude who could get to the ball, all that good stuff, but you weren't like super athletic. You were just a big dude that would hit. And
I'm
it was Big Ten where you were running the ball a lot more and stuff like that. So he's adapted from his playing days to being a coach that's like, okay, I need these athletic guys, but I need these athletic guys who can cover a lot of ground and hit hard too.
I,
So
just look at how well Cody improved Cody
yeah,
Simon. I
yes,
And
mean, he took a
that was
big time
nuts.
jump. And then Sonny, he helped develop Sonny to a future first round pick. And I tell you what, last year watching Pettijohn play, Alford play, and watching Peyton Pearson play, they all got a lot of reps last year, so they got some time. But all of them made plays.
Sh-
Peyton Pierce had interceptions.
Yeah,
Freaking Pettijohn had a touchdown. Alford had a sack. They all made some pretty good plays for just being freshmen.
and Sean, it
and
makes
I'll
you
tell you,
wonder. It makes you wonder what he could have done with like Tough Borland and company had he been here earlier.
I
I'll
mean,
tell you,
Makes
and
me
you guys didn't even
sick.
talk about one of the best, maybe one of the best athletes in the room, and that's Garrett Stover.
Yep.
That's another one, man.
Never
You
know.
know,
I mean, that kid. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we went back, if he kind of switches back to a
4-3
4-3 every now and then, and
And
have
I mean,
I hope we do.
against run heavy teams. We should.
I hope we do.
I mean, he could even switch into a 3-4 every now and then, put 3 down linemen and put 4 linebackers out
Wouldn't
there.
hate.
absolutely. And Matt Patricia is a master at utilizing different
talent.
defensive fronts and stuff. So the more versatile these guys can be, the better.
That's
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this part of our Tuesday Night Roundtable show. On behalf of myself, the Marvelous Mika, King Buckeye, Alex, and the Schrock Star, Sean Schrock, we want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us, bringing the energy, and making this one of the best communities in college football. If you enjoyed tonight's show, please do us a favor and like the video, share it with all your fellow Buckeye fans, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a single episode of the OHIO podcast. Also, if you're enjoying us on our audio-only format, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify, please make sure you leave a 5-star rating, as it really does help us grow our brand. And hey, if you're not ready for the conversation to end, guys, and if you're ready to see me try to stir up a little trouble,
No,
we got you covered.
Watch Alex put you in
Head
your
on
place again.
over to our after show on Patreon. Sean, I'm going to mute you if you keep it up. Behave yourself. Where things will get a little more unfiltered, a little more in depth, and I'm hoping a whole lot more fun. The link is in the description below. Come on over and join us. And tonight on the after show, I'm going to pose a question about our receiver room that I'm hoping maybe sparks a little bit of debate. And I can't wait to hear what everybody on the panel has to say. So for those of you coming over to join us, give me about 5 minutes to get things set up. For those who are not joining us, let me just say good night, God bless,
Thank you.
and go Bucks. OH.
Io.
Oh,
For the blue.
nuts.
And Marcus Freeman too.